So as we have been discussing that how this drishya relationship, the relationship between drik, drashta, the seer, and drishya vastu, the object that is being seen. And all these are nothing. It says, even if also Krutartha, wise person, enlightened person who has achieved what is to be achieved, who has done what are the things to be done, even if that person also gets entangled. And while talking, that also says very carefully, this is the sutra we need to see, 23. So Swami Saktyoho Surupa Upalabdhi Hetu Sanyogaha. So he says, look, Swasakti is the word, two words he uses, Swasakti and Swaswami. Swami Sakti, let us say Swami Saktayoho. That means Swasakti and Swami Sakti. There are two things. And he says, there what happens? Surupa Upalabdhi Hetuhu Sanyogaha. So this is Sanyoga, combination. They come in contact now for two purposes. So we know very well this drishya, both seer and short, the seer and what is to be seen, they join together either for bhoga or for apavarga. I hope it is clear. So bhoga means enjoyment, dharma, artha, kama. Or apavarga called moksha. So this was we have seen in details. We have discussed in details. So either for enjoyment or for freedom. Now he uses this word carefully. Swashakti means the drishya vastu, the object that are seen. And Swami Shakti means the Purusha. Now these two job is when they come together, their job is what? Swarupa Upalabdhi Hetu. Is the only gives Swarupa Upalabdhi. It gives the knowledge or it makes you to understand, makes you to see the Swarupam, the nature. This is the sutra. Nothing else. Now when you try to see, how is it possible? Now when you start seeing any object, let us say the specks. So when I see this specks, now it has to give either the swarupam of the specks, the nature, it should reveal the nature, the truth of the specks, or truth of myself. Is it clear? There is no other option. For example, I am saying, if my eyes are not okay, trying to very difficult, struggling, even if I try to put but I don't see, then I understand. At least I see my swarup of my eye, okay? I understand that my eyes are not that good enough to see. So that means when this drishya and drashta, when they come together, either it has to reveal the truth of the object or truth of the seer, one's own self. When it reveals the truth of objects, It is related to bhogam. Clear? Very simplest format he puts. So while saying anything, if I don't internalize, if I don't analyze, if I don't see my reflection over there, only I see the objects, definitely that time my mind will be dragged to experience. That is how present generation is more experience oriented. Very rarely they have capabilities, they have strength to analyze oneself in a given situation. But they are very much capable of analyzing any situation that they come across. So they are very good at analyzing situation, but not able to analyze themselves. So that's why here, when my mind is able to analyze the object, that to the object of experience, the object of seeing, definitely that will create a vasana, which we'll see next. That will create a vasana in me, which will lead to bhogam, which will lead to enjoy. That's why people want to see more and more. People want to experience more and more. Whereas, when mind is turned while observing, while experiencing, while seeing, when the mind starts internalizing, try to see the reflection, tries to see one's own swarupam, one's own reality, then what happens? There it leads to apavarga, it leads to moksha. Now when we look at this bhoga and apavarga, so there is some type of confusion with reference to Sankhya and Vedanta. That also I thought of bringing little bit point here. So how? Let us look at the next sutra so that it becomes easier. Tasya hetuhu avidya. Look, because of avidya, this combination between seer and the object of sin happen. So the sayogasya hetuhu, previous verse was sayoga, the combination, they come in contact. That happens because of avidya, ignorance. So what is avidya? We have seen vipareya jnana is called avidya. Earlier in the pramana time we have discussed. So that means vasana ityartha. So vasana means impression that is left behind. And remember, the impressions are not true to the experience. Be very clear. impressions are not true to the experience. This is the problem. Because if the impressions becomes true to the experience, people will not go crazy. That's why same rasgulla you eat, it takes few days to understand, wow, to say, you understand? Depends upon your mood, depends upon your taste buds. Suppose you have come out of fever, taste bud is gone, you know better. Or your devil is standing in front of you, okay, who is looking at you. Hey, how come you are eating and not giving me? You understand? So there are many factors to have the impression. So experiences definitely leaves behind a given type of impression. But there is a gap between the impression and experience. That one has to be very clear. But the problem with all of us is, without knowing, without thinking, we think that the impressions and experiences are hand in hand together. Actually, I do not go for experience. Always I want to go for experience to match to support my impressions. Is it clear? Any experience I look for, it is not for experience sake. Just look at any object of experience. Let us say the specs. Now, when I experience the specs, I have some type of impression related to specs. So, what is the impression I have carried, which also comes in the form of expectations and other things? That by putting specs in my childhood, it was there. Okay, now it is not there. Those who, in our childhood, those who put specs, they are mature people. I am not telling you jokes. See, as a child, if you want to appear as a mature, elderly person, put a specs. The personality changes. Later on, I discovered even a 2-year child also had to put, because in our time, children never put specs. Even if they had problem, but they didn't have that sort of facilities, to be very honest. So, especially in the villages, city maybe very rarely I have come across. Only in the movies we have seen, okay? Maybe we thought stylish. However, joke apart. So, when I experience the specs, now I will expect that the letter should look better. I should be able to read in a better way. Now this is the impression. Now because impression earlier it was very difficult, now suddenly I saw, wow, letters are clear. Now if I want to experience the specs, what I'll do? Will I look at the impression first or the experience? Subconsciously, I look for impression. Is it clear? That's why, as long as the impression is not matched, that long I keep experiencing. That's why I keep overlapping impressions. So here he says, this avidya, the ignorance, is as such that it creates all sort of problem in our life, especially all classes. starting with avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, avinivesa. Don't forget that, okay? Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha and avinivesa. Because these are the back and forth you need to look at. Now while discussing this also it highlights very carefully that how this avidya takes care of. This is the difference between, slightest difference between this Sankhya and Vedanta. So Vedanta highlights Jnanam, the knowledge is the cause of moksha. Whereas Sankhya philosophy, which is also connected to yoga, he says no, Jnanam does not give you moksha. So uses very nicely the word, very carefully, that which is next sutra, very elaborately will be talking. Jnanam removes ajnana, and because jnanam removes ajnanam, that's why the jnanam does not become the direct means of moksha, of varga, but it becomes a cause. So it becomes like, it starts helping. So it really does not do directly, but it does indirectly, which we do not agree with it. Why we do not agree? We say very clearly how this knowledge does. The example we give, yatha agnihi so asrayam dagdhva swayameva nashyati tatha darsanam adarsanam vinasya swayameva nivartate. We look at jnanam as fire. So how the fire does its work? So fire always takes shelter into its own swarupa. So what is the own swarupam? Own swarupam, own nature of fire is to burn. Also it burns itself. So what it does? While burning oneself, it burns, it destroys everything. It's not that only it burns other things and remains as it is, you understand? It's not like that. It's not a job of the fire. While burning oneself, while being established in one's own nature, it also puts everything into that same nature, if you want to put this angle. Suppose a lamp that you lit, the oil, the wick and all these things put together. Now the moment fire is done, what happens? So everything becomes fire. So being in its own swarupam, everything becomes part of it and everything is burnt, finally nothing remains. So also the knowledge being established in one's standpoint, all avidyas also becomes part of it and gets destroyed, everything without any remains. Whereas this yoga people will not accept. They will say, because of what? Because of jnanam, ajnanam is being removed, especially vivek khyat. Then after that what happens? There is no thought, chitta vritti nirodha, okay? Don't forget that. From there I am stretching, okay? Chitta vritti nirodha. So because there is no thought, that's why moksha, which technically is not acceptable. Why? We have another example. This is logic class today, okay? Little bit bringing it, okay? So we have very nice example. A lady says, addresses a very nice word we address called Sandhakaha. If I am right somewhere, I saw this example. I don't know where. Yes, Sandhakaha Aryaputra. Hey Aryaputra, Sandhaka is a very nice word, okay? So let me not get into in details. Those who understand Sanskrit, they will understand. Knowledge is not necessary. So, O Aryaputra, who is a lady is addressing who doesn't have child. So she addresses her husband. O son of Arya. Aryaputra means O son of respected family, respected lineage. Not the Arya, those who came from other places, wrong, okay? And says that, look, my sister passed away with children. My sister has passed away with children. Means, so far I don't have child. This is what it means. This is the logic, okay, we give. So what does it mean? Now do you think this is called Viveka Khyati? I hope you understand the logic, okay? Okay, this is called Viveka Khyati because, so that means what? Now, Viveka Khyati, what it leads to? So indirectly also it can lead. Don't worry, when you pass away, you will have your child. Is it so? It's not going to work. So that's why we say very carefully, it is not the ajnanam destruction, the way people think that vritti nirodha brings moksha, because the jnanam itself is the direct cause of moksha. The jnanam itself is moksha. Because there is nothing called ajnanam. Ajnanam, when you say viparya jnanam, because it doesn't, mithya is mithya. It is like sometimes you tell a lie just to allow somebody to leave the place. But sometimes you get caught with that lie. You understand? But you told a lie just allowing that person to leave the place. So also, in reality, lie doesn't exist. But nowadays, lie only exists. Okay, you have to go to the court to prove that you are truthful. Okay. So like, for example, I am going through now. Okay, I have to prove Swami Ananda was very conscious till his death or towards last years. Somebody has filed a case stating that Ram Surupananji had lost his consciousness. Very ridiculous, I am sorry to say. At least the person who wanted to stay there could have asked, okay, take the place, stay there, who cares? However, so nowadays the system is that, that truth to be established in the court. Because nowadays truth needs evidence. Earlier lies requires evidence, okay? Nowadays truth needs evidence. What is it? Funny world we are now, okay? Anyway. However, coming to the point, this avidya, when it is destroyed, how it is destroyed? With the vidya. Because the moment vidya comes, it is not like the light, we exhibit the example. Light does not remove the darkness. Moment light is there, is that what that light starts removing darkness? Is it like that? Moment light comes, there is no darkness. There is no process of removing. Can you see this point? The moment you switch on the light, automatically the darkness goes away. But unfortunately people think that you have to light the lamp. After lighting the lamp, then slowly the ignorance, the darkness will fade away. Is it so? It's not like that. That is not jnanam. So that's why when it says tasya hetu avidya, this ignorance takes care of this part. That's why next sutra is going to talk tat abhava sanyoga abhava hanam tad drushyo tad drushehe kaivalyam iti. So that means when the avidya tasya tad abhava avidyaya abhava, so when the avidya is being destroyed, automatically what happens? Sanyoga abhava. So there is no connection between these two, drushya and druk. And then what happens? Then only what happens? Drish, the Purusha is in Kaivalyam. Kevalasya bhavam means apavarga, moksha ityartha. So there the moksha comes. And how it happens? And again this viveka khyati, how it works, we will see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.